Hello everyone. In the first series of presentations on law of torts, an attempt was made to explain the general principles. This series will attempt to give a brief idea about some important specific torts. The first one would be on torts affecting person or trespass to person. Assault, battery and false imprisonment are the three main torts affecting person. Now, what is an assault? Assault is an act which threatens violence. It produces in plaintiff a reasonable expectation of use of immediate unlawful force. The tort is therefore actionable per se, that is, action can be brought against the wrongdoer even when the plaintiff does not suffer any damage. According to Salmond, assault is an act of putting another person in reasonable fear or apprehension of an immediate battery by means of an act which amounts to an attempt or threat to commit a battery. According to Winfield, an assault is an act of the defendant which causes the plaintiff reasonable apprehension of the infliction of a battery on him by the defendant. Now, both Salmond and Winfield define assault in terms of battery. Now, what is battery? The intentional application of unlawful force on another is battery. Force for this purpose would include the application of heat, light or noise so as to cause discomfort. The degree of force applied may be negligible. Intentionally bringing any material object into contact with another's person is sufficient application of force to constitute a battery. Winfield defines battery as an intentional application of force. Salmond defines battery as application of force to the body of another person. Now, in order to amount to battery, there must be application of force to the person of another without lawful justification, and assault is an attempted battery. Unlawfully causing of injury, though negligible, is battery, and threatening to do so is assault. But mere words do not constitute an assault even when they are violent or threatening. The intent to do violence must be expressed in threatening acts, not merely in threatening words. Even threatening acts do not constitute an assault unless they are of such a nature as to put the plaintiff in fear of immediate violence. So, to shake one's fist in a man's face is an assault. To shake it at a man who, by his distance from the scene of action, is inaccessible to such violence is not an assault. There need not be actual intention or power to use violence. It is enough if the plaintiff, on reasonable grounds, believes that he is in danger of it. Thus, to point a gun at a man in a threatening manner is actionable even though it is unloaded if the plaintiff is made to believe that it is loaded. If there is no reasonable fear, there is no assault. The wrong of battery consists of use of force to another person intentionally or negligently without any lawful justification. Even where the force used is very slight and does not cause any harm, the wrong is still committed. Physical hurt need not be there. Even a discomfort is sufficient to constitute the harm. The least touching of another in anger is battery. Even if it is not in anger, if it is without the plaintiff's consent, it may amount to battery. Force may be used even though there is no bodily contact with the aggressor. The use of stick, pillar or any other missile, or throwing water or spitting on a man's face, or making a person fall by pulling a chair are examples of use of force. Application of heat, light, electricity, gas, odor, etc. can amount to battery if it results in physical injury or personal discomfort. It is essential that the use of force should be intentional and without lawful justification. The intention need not exist while starting the act, but it must be formed while the act is still continuing. Assault is both a tort as well as a crime. Section 130 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita defines the offense of assault as making any gesture or preparation with an intention or knowledge that such gesture or preparation will cause any person present to fear that he who makes that gesture or preparation is about to use criminal force to that person. Like assault, battery is also a tort as well as a crime. Section 129 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita defines criminal force, which corresponds to the tort of battery, as intentionally using force to any person without that person's consent so as to commit an offense, or using force intending or knowing that by such use of force he will cause injury, fear, or annoyance to the person to whom the force is used. Now let us look at some decided cases on assault. In Tuberville versus Savage, the defendant put his hand on the handle of the sword and said, "If it were not assize time, I will not take this language from you." The question was whether this would amount to assault. The rule of law of torts lays down that mere threat does not amount to assault, but gestures or preparations which create fear may amount to assault. Here in this case, the gesture is putting the hand on the handle of the sword. But the words used are, "If it were not assize time, I will not take this language from you." The context in which these words have been spoken was that at the time this incident occurred, the judges of the assizes, which were old type of mobile courts, were in the town and they had the authority to punish the wrongdoer. The defendant therefore said that if assizes are not in the town, he would have beaten the plaintiff. In these words, the court said there is no present intention to assault. Rather, there is a postponement of the idea of assault. In Reed versus Coker, the plaintiff came to the premises of the defendant to discuss some business matters. The defendant ordered the plaintiff to leave the premises, but the plaintiff refused to do so. The defendant collected some of his workmen who gathered around the plaintiff and threatened to break his neck if he did not go out. The plaintiff, fearing that the men would strike him if he did not so leave, left the premises. In an action for assault, it was held by the court that there was a threat of violence to the plaintiff, and with the present ability of the defendant to carry out the threat into execution, the defendant was guilty of assault. In Cole versus Turner, when the defendant, in passing through a crowded hall, pushed his way in a rude manner against the plaintiff, action was maintained for assault and battery. The pronouncement of Chief Justice Holt, given 300 years ago, is still the law on assault and battery. He declared that the least touching of another in anger is battery. If two or more persons meet in a narrow passage and without any violence or design of harm, one touches another, it will not be battery. If any of them uses violence against the other to force his way in a rude and inordinate manner, it will be battery. In Stanley versus Powell, the defendant was a member of a shooting party. He fired at a bird, but the pellet from his gun glanced off the tree and hurt Stanley, another member of the party. It was held that Powell was not liable because the harm was not caused intentionally or negligently. It was a mere accident, and hence it was not a battery. Now, how is assault different from battery? Though both assault and battery are intentional wrongs, assault is an attempt to commit a battery, or it is an inchoate or incomplete battery. Battery is an assault effectuated or an actual use of force. While in case of assault, creation of reasonable fear or apprehension in the plaintiff's mind is necessary, in battery no creation of such reasonable apprehension is necessary, and not even an intention to create it. Though it is often said that battery includes an assault, a battery may be committed without an assault, and an assault may be committed without a battery. Popular assault ends where the legal battery begins. The word battery is seldom used these days. The word assault is used for battery as well. In ordinary conversation, therefore, assault stands for threat to use force as well as the actual use of force. But in law, there is a subtle distinction between assault and battery. Winfield explains the distinction thus. When a person throws water at another, it is an assault. But when a drop of water falls upon him, it is battery. When a person rides a horse at a person, it is an assault. But when he rides a horse against him, it is battery. When a person is going to sit on a chair, to pull the chair on which he is sitting is assault. But when the person falls on the ground, it is battery. A harm voluntarily suffered is no battery. To such cases, the defense of consent is applied. Touching a person in a friendly way is not battery. The use of force may be justified in pulling a drowning man out of water or forcibly feeding a hunger-stricken person to save his life, or in performing an operation on an unconscious person by a competent surgeon to save his life. Thus, consent, self-defense, defense to property, retaking of goods, parental or quasi-parental authority, legal process, and inevitable accident are some of the defenses that can be pleaded either in an action for assault or battery, as the defenses available are common both to assault as well as battery. The remedy that is available both for the tort of assault as well as battery is damages. The tort of false imprisonment, which is also a tort affecting person, will be dealt with in the next presentation. Thank you.